Hello viewers, this is Dr. Sangeeta Datta, consultant psychiatrist, and today we shall talk about domestic violence. I have met a lot of victims of violence, mainly women, but sometimes, yes, I have also come across men who are victims. I have met children from violent homes. Be it the children or the victims, we see that they suffer from different psychological problems, that is depression, anxiety, substance abuse, death wish, suicidal ideation, low self-esteem, behavioral problems, etc. Children often come to us for academic difficulties and also conduct issues. We see that in most cases of domestic violence, there's a familiar history. Most victims would tell us that violence started long back. However, it started small and it gradually grew as days passed. And usually violence starts as verbal abuse, which means that things are said which are not accepted or acceptable. Maybe utterance of slangs or unacceptable language, abusive language is something which to start with when it is about domestic violence. Later, however, the verbal abuse might escalate to physical abuse, and it also starts small. It starts with a slap or a push, but later it can amount to strangulation, throttling, etc. A lot of people actually lose their lives because of violence in homes. Some of them lose their lives accidentally. For example, if a person is pushed against the wall, there might be a head injury which may result in death. And for some of them, it's a planned attempt because the violent person sometimes plans it out and kills the other person and shows that to be an accident or a suicide later. Sexual abuse is very common in domestic violence, and we hear of marital rape happening very often when it comes to domestic violence. Unnatural sex and violent sex is also reported very often. Apart from that, financial abuse is also rampant in violent homes, especially if the victim is working. Then the abuser snatches her money or snatches his money completely and tries to dominate and control this person completely. So this victim does not have any financial independence left. It is actually a state of learned helplessness that a victim lives in gradually. Most victims do not report their abuse or violence. There are many reasons as to why they do not report. The primary reason is lack of awareness, and they are not aware of the legal provisions present against domestic violence, namely the DV Act, Domestic Violence Act, or they're not even aware of Section 498A in India. With rising awareness also, some of them do not report, and this is because the victim is sometimes financially dependent on the abuser, emotionally dependent on the abuser, sometimes loves the abuser, so cannot think of coming out of the abusive system. Sometimes it is because of social reasons like children's well-being and future. However, it must be noted that violence never decreases. It rather is known to escalate. Violence never happens continuously also. It happens in cycles. So sometimes when a victim is victimized by violence, there will be a phase where there'll be no violence and the abuser will try to make up with the victim. And the victim might just believe that, well, I think violence is over and he has rectified or corrected his ways, the abuser, I mean. However, again, abuse is repeated and this continues in a cyclic pattern till violence escalates. Of course, there may be modifiable factors in a case of domestic violence, like if the abuser was using alcohol or any other substance and was abusing the victim, then of course treating him for alcohol or treating him for aggressive behavior might reduce the violence. Without any intervention or treatment, violence coming down by itself is almost a myth. When violence happens, sometimes the victim becomes so helpless but still keeps hoping that things will change and sometimes resigns to her own fate. Always remember, this is not your fate. Nobody deserves to be beaten up. Nobody deserves to be abused verbally. Nobody deserves to be raped. And nobody deserves to live a financially dependent life on her partner. So do not take what you do not deserve. If there is abuse in your life, please come out of that abusive situation. You can find out solutions to other problems like, let's say, earning a livelihood or raising your children, but please come out, report to the legal system or the police. And even if you don't want to report to the police, please come out of the situation, because that way you are losing your own life. You're wasting your own energy and time trying to correct things which will never get corrected. And perhaps, God forbid, you may even lose your life. Violence is not normal. And domestic violence is even more abnormal, because there somebody you trust violates your rights, violates your security. The person who violates has a need to dominate and control. The person who violates is himself or herself not normal. So violence needs to be reported, a full stop needs to be put, and if at all you do not have the desire or the interest to make it a legal issue, come out of the violence and lead your own normal life. No matter how harsh it is still better than becoming a victim of domestic violence. Please remember to like this video or subscribe this video. And next time we'll meet with another interesting topic. Till then, goodbye and take care.